That dime in your pocket could be worth hundreds, or even thousands, if you know what to look for. Today, we're revealing the top 3 Roosevelt Dime errors that turn pocket change into pure treasure. Don't blink, because you might just miss the details that make these coins so valuable. Let's start with our first treasure. 1998 Roosevelt Dime coin with mint mark D and fine condition. The 1998 Roosevelt Dime, struck at the Denver Mint and bearing that distinctive D mint mark, might seem like an everyday coin at first glance. After all, by 1998, the Roosevelt Dime had already been in production for over half a century, and billions of them had passed through the hands of Americans. But this particular year holds a special place for collectors due to certain minting errors and quality anomalies that slipped through the rigorous U.S. mint process. To appreciate why this dime is significant, we first need to revisit its design origins. The Roosevelt Dime was first issued in 1946, a year after the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. It was meant to honor his legacy, especially his association with the March of Dimes campaign to combat polio. The obverse of the coin features a left-facing portrait of Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the United States Mint. Sinek's initials, J.S., appear just below Roosevelt's neck. On the reverse, a torch symbolizing liberty takes center stage, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength, with the inscriptions, United States of America, e pluribus unum, and one dime, encircling the design. In 1998, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these dimes, but as is often the case with high-volume coinage, a few flawed pieces escaped into circulation. One notable error from this year is the misaligned die strike, where the coin's design is slightly shifted, causing part of the image or inscriptions to appear off-center. Some examples also show doubling on the date or lettering, a phenomenon known as a double die error, where the die used to strike the coin was improperly prepared. These doubled elements can be seen most prominently on the digits of the year or on the lettering, Liberty. Another variety seen in 1998 D dimes is the full torch designation on the reverse, which is not exactly an error but a strike quality indicator highly prized by collectors. A full torch means that the vertical lines of the torch and the horizontal bands are sharply defined without weakness, a sign of an exceptionally well-struck coin. While most 1998 D Roosevelt dimes in circulation are only worth face value, those with notable errors or pristine full torch details can fetch between $10 and $50 depending on condition. In rare cases, dramatic minting mistakes, such as broad strikes or off-metal strikes, have been documented and can command hundreds of dollars. In fine condition, an error-free 1998 D dime might not seem extraordinary, but an error coin from this year, especially one authenticated by a grading service, immediately attracts interest. For the collector, it's the thrill of spotting that slightly off-center portrait, that doubled letter, that sharper-than-usual torch that makes all the difference. Owning one connects you to the legacy of Roosevelt, the artistry of Sinek, and the unintentional quirks of the Denver Mint in the late 20th century. It's a reminder that even in mass production, individuality still finds a way to shine. 1999 Roosevelt Dime coin with mint mark P and fine condition. The 1999 Roosevelt Dime minted in Philadelphia, identified by its P mint mark, offers a glimpse into both the precision and imperfection of modern minting. By 1999, the Roosevelt Dime had undergone decades of production, but the U.S. Mint was still working to maintain quality across massive mintages. The Philadelphia Mint, historically the first and most prolific U.S. minting facility, was responsible for striking hundreds of millions of these coins. The obverse still carried Sinek's timeless Roosevelt portrait, with crisp inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, the year 1999, and the P mint mark to the right of Roosevelt's neck. On the reverse, the same torch, olive branch, and oak branch stood as enduring symbols of American values, arranged in perfect symmetry. Yet even in this high-tech era, errors emerged that transformed ordinary dimes into collector marvels. One such error is the missing clad layer dime. Since 1965, U.S. dimes have been composed of a copper core sandwiched between layers of copper nickel. Occasionally, one of those layers fails to bond properly, resulting in a coin with an exposed copper surface on one side, an eye-catching, reddish appearance that instantly distinguishes it from normal coinage. Another notable 1999 P error is the broad strike, where the coin is struck without the restraining collar that normally shapes its rim. This produces a larger-than-normal dime with a stretched design, making it easy to spot. Collectors have also identified die cracks and cuts on 1999 dimes, small raised lines or blobs on the surface caused by damaged dies. While these may seem like tiny imperfections, in numismatics they're miniature signatures of history, marking the moment a tool failed and a mistake slipped into the nation's pockets. Market value for fine condition 1999 Roosevelt dimes without errors remains low, just 10 cents, but error coins can range from $20 to over $200 depending on severity and rarity. Those with a full torch strike, free from wear and with every detail intact, hold extra appeal, often commanding premium prices among Roosevelt specialists. Beyond the dollars and cents aspect, 1999 holds its own charm as the final year before the new millennium, adding a subtle layer of collectability for those who seek symbolic years. The Philadelphia Mint's role in this year's production underscores how even the most experienced mint can let slip a few delightful anomalies. For collectors, a 1999 era dime isn't just a piece of metal, it's a testament to the unpredictable nature of minting, where even with all the machinery, technology, and human oversight a momentary lapse or material flaw can create something truly unique. 1967 Roosevelt Dime coin, no mint mark and fine condition. The 1967 Roosevelt Dime stands apart from our first two examples. During the mid-1960s the U.S. Mint faced a coin shortage so severe that it suspended the use of mint marks from 1965 to 1967 in an effort to discourage hoarding. This means that number 1967 Roosevelt Dime carries a D, P or S on its obverse regardless of where it was struck. Historically 1967 also falls within the period after the Coinage Act of 1965 when silver was removed from dimes and quarters replaced by a copper-nickel-clad composition. This marked a turning point in U.S. coinage as the value of silver had risen to the point where keeping coins for their metal content became more profitable than spending them. Design-wise the 1967 dime remained faithful to Sinek's original work with Roosevelt's portrait gracing the obverse and the torch branches motif on the reverse. However, the high production volume, over 2.2 billion pieces, meant that quality varied widely and a surprising number of error coins escaped into circulation. One particularly interesting 1967 error is the double strike where the coin is struck twice by the dies resulting in overlapping images. Another is the off-center strike so extreme that only part of Roosevelt's head is visible. There are also known examples of 1967 dimes struck on planchets intended for foreign coins, a fascinating reminder that the U.S. Mint often produced coins for other nations. The absence of a mint mark makes attribution trickier, but error collectors cherish these quirks precisely because they stand out against the otherwise uniform backdrop of billions of identical coins. In fine condition without errors, a 1967 Roosevelt dime isn't particularly valuable, often just face value. But with dramatic errors, prices can soar into the hundreds of dollars. Even minor anomalies, like die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies hit each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly outlines, can bring $20 to $50 from enthusiasts. The year 1967 also holds significance for another reason. It was a time of change in America, culturally and economically, and the Roosevelt dime from this period reflects the transition from silver to clad coinage, from marked to unmarked mintage. Collectors drawn to the history of U.S. currency find in this dime not just an error-hunting opportunity, but a tangible piece of a pivotal era. Holding a 1967 era dime is like holding a small relic of that transformative decade, quietly ordinary to most, but rich in meaning to those who know where to look.